channel when I was 15. Around my 16th birthday, I would say, is when I took it seriously. One summer, I posted like 3 times a week, and it was the summer I turned 16. And I remember I went from like 700 to like 13,000 subscribers or something
Wow.
in a summer, which is a jump for like when you start. Um, and then I was just really consistent. I ended up moving out to LA because I was graduating school early and I wanted to gain residency in California to save money on school. So I ended
Mm.
up doing that. I moved out like a month before I even turned 18. I wasn't even like legal at that point. But I was just really focused and really consistent with YouTube. And I don't have like the biggest channel and I never like just blew up and hit a million. I've definitely been like a slow but steady sort of growth. But yeah, that's kind of my journey with it. I ended up starting my podcast, moved to I would say I started my YouTube channel like 2014 probably, 2013 maybe. I moved to LA in 2016 and then I started my podcast in 2018, 2019. Maybe I'm getting these dates wrong, but I ended up starting a podcast
No,
about
yeah,
2.5 years ago.
yeah, yeah. And I feel like when you don't have like one viral video, video, none of that, your channel and your growth is more consistent. And I feel like you form more of a community than if
Yes,
overnight you gain
100%.
like 1 million subscribers. I feel like it would be weird, you know?
I don't even think I won a million. Like I used to always think I did, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that much attention is like something I'm into, you know?
Yeah. Also, yes, but also I feel like I'm on your Facebook group for your podcast, and I've never been on a Facebook group, and I'm on a lot of Facebook groups. I love them, whatever. But I've never been on one that is so like engaged with each other and engaged with you. And it's so, I mean, they're usually more like self promo when it comes to podcasts. Like people post their stuff and that's kind of it. But I feel like your community, it's like very real and very engaged with each other. And that's really cool to see that you kind of cultivated that on the
Yeah.
internet, you know?
That makes me very happy to hear. That's definitely my number one thing. I'm actually really like pleased and content with how I've grown because I think I've been able to really like invest in the community
Mhm.
and I have a very loyal audience now. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that had I like just blown up overnight.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like when you blow up like that, it kind of gets out of your control. Like you don't like all of a sudden you have all of these people watching you, and you're like, whoa, how
Mm-hmm.
do I integrate them in like a community of friends or people that I kind of, you know? I feel
Yes.
like I watch YouTubers as kind of quote unquote friends. Of course, they're not physically actually friends. It's like a one sided friendship if you think about
Mm-hmm.
it. But it feels like I know you since I watch so many of your videos, and it is good to watch your videos and think like that instead of watching your videos and thinking of you as a famous person up here and me down
Yeah,
here.
I
And it's
always
just,
want to be like your like virtual best friend. Like I wanted to
mhm.
feel like we're friends or like I meet subscribers out and about and they all like ask like, "Oh my gosh, how are your dogs? How's this?" And they know so much about my life and like I would rather have it to be I want everyone to feel like they're friends, even with each other.
Yeah, and I see that on the Facebook group. That's what I wanted to say. I think I said it right,
Yeah.
but I see that on the Facebook group, and it impresses me every day. I'm always on when I enter to Facebook, which happens not regularly, but I enter and I see always something about it. I love you so much. Facebook group,
Mhm.
and it's really amazing. So I just wanted to let you know that your
Oh,
community is amazing.
thank you.
And then I wanted to ask you about the podcast. Why did you decide to branch out onto a new form of content? Because I know that you have more of a lifestyle channel, and well, everyone has an Instagram right now, so it's more like a personal lifestyle Instagram. But branching out onto a podcast is not maybe the normal thing to do, or it's like another form of content that you have to produce, and it's not the easiest thing, also. So, why did you decide to do that?
I had wanted to start a podcast probably 2 years before I did. I was really into them. I was listening to them like back before it was like popular. And I was like really into like Girl Boss Radio and then I got into a bunch of them and it kind of grew from there. But just I love hosting. Like that's something that I like actually am very like into. I love hosting and I love learning. And so podcasting kind of was like the avenue in which I could do both of those things. But just honestly, it started with me being such a huge fan of podcast, and then I also, love hosting and stuff. So it just kind of ended up working out. I kind of wish I would have started sooner. I didn't,
Yeah.
and I kind of wish I would have because by the time I finally launched, it was when like a lot of my other friends were launching, which is like totally fine. But I just wanted to do it for so long. So yeah, I don't know. I just love hosting, and I also like love learning and just talking to people. So it kind of was just like right up my alley.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that once, at least that happened to me, and I think they happened to you too. Once you started, you are like, oh, I could have started this so much earlier. Like, it's
Mhm.
not that hard, it's not that scary. Like, I have just been way ahead in the game, but it's okay. I mean, it's what
Yes.
happens, It
Yeah.
works out anyway. And I love how you have different guests, like, not just influencer guests and everything. You have so many people from so many walks of life in your podcast and all of that. So, how do you decide who to invite to your podcast, and what do you look for in a guest?
So it's a combination. I really, really care about having a wide variety of guests. I never wanted to just be like an influencer podcast or just a health or just a lifestyle. For instance, like I'll have, I had Jessica Kent on, who's like a prison
Mm.
activist reform. I'm gonna get the actual title wrong, but she's really incredible. I
Mm.
had Daryl Strawberry on, who's an ex MLB player and now evangelist. I've had people from all different like walks of life on and different perspectives, and um it just depends. Like a lot of it is inbound. Like I get pitched for a lot of people. Randomly I'll watch a show. Like for instance, I watched Showtime's Outcry with Greg and Gabriel Kelly, and I was like, oh my god, I have to have them on, and I messaged them, and then I got them on. So it's honestly just like out and about. I'm constantly thinking of guests, or even if I'm talking to someone, I'm like, oh, do you know someone in this regard? Like, right, I really want, this is like probably not okay for me to say, but I really want like mob ties on of some sort. And so when I'm around Dallas, especially at like certain restaurants that I know, I'm like, so like no one's ever gonna come on and like talk about that publicly. Like I don't know what I think, but I'm just really thinking I'm gonna land on the perfect guest one day. So it just depends. I have a running list of guests that I would want on. I have a board, like I'll just say people on Instagram. It really honestly just depends, but I feel like I'm constantly thinking of different guests.
And do you have like a dream guest that when you
Dolly
think
Parton.
like, yeah,
That would be my
Dolly Partner?
yeah,
I think that would
for
be
sure.
really cool. And I feel like it would be really cool. I don't even know how you will contact her, but Casey Musgraves to be on your podcast, because I
She's
feel
my
like you
second
give off,
guest.
yeah, you
My
give off
second.
kind of a similar energy
Oh
while
my
you're in
god,
Dallas, and
thank
I'm like, that
you.
would be so
I
cool.
love her. Yeah, it's her and Dolly are my two like dream guests.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I would love that. And how did the idea of the book club came for the podcast? I love the book club. I try to follow as much as I can. I'm a student, so and I
Yes.
read a lot for every subject, so it's not so easy to keep up. But in the summer, which was this past few months here in Argentina, I really try to keep up, and I love being able to kind of listen to you talk about a book that kind of I read. So how did the idea of doing the book club on the podcast came about?
I'm a huge reader. I'm on my 27th book of 2021. Like I read
Hmm.
all the time. I was reading like if I have any spare time, I feel like a lot of the time people are like going on TikTok or YouTube and stuff, and I do that all the time. But like for instance, I had a 30-minute break and I was just reading before this. Like it's my favorite thing to do.
Hmm.
And last summer, I got or really last spring, I got back into reading fiction, and I just started reading 24/7. And then I was talking about it online. And honestly, I love the Redheads book club too. That was a big thing.
Hmm.
And so I was like, how do I incorporate this on my like socials? And that's kind of how it came to be. I really like the book club. It's just, I don't know, it adds like something different because I'll do a solo every month, and it's just so me. Like I'm constantly talking about books, I'm constantly reading, and yeah, it just kind of worked out.